Hi, this is Moose Curtis, the longtime director of the Junior Maine Guide program. Welcome to our program, and what we would like to do today is just introduce you to the Junior Maine Guide program and let you know how your camp can use it, and working with different age skills and introducing and perfecting their outdoor skills.
My name is Ron Fournier, Director of Bryan Pond 4-H Camp. I've been the director here since 2007, working with the Junior Maine Guide program, and I'm happy to be able to answer some questions and get some folks interested in the Junior Maine Guide program.
And I'm Chris Wentworth from Wynegonic Camps out of Denmark. I'm the Operations and Trip Coordinator and also a member of the Junior Maine Guide Advisory Board. And we are hoping to share all three levels of the program with you today, and talk about some of the new things that are going to be happening with the program over the next year or so.
When we talk about the Junior Maine Guide program, there's probably some confusion, but the program has three different levels. There's, for the younger candidates, there's a Junior Maine Woodsman. For the older next age group, there's a Maine Woodsman program, and then it finishes up with the Junior Maine Guide program, which is for our 14 through 18-year-olds. So later on in this program, we will talk about the two younger programs to give you some details on what's going on there.
Okay, starting off here with the program description. Junior Maine Guide's goals is to foster enjoyable, safe, and healthy outdoor living experiences for campers ages 9 to 18. These efforts have also resulted in the valuable training and certification of licensed trip leaders in Maine. The Junior Maine Guide program is a unique Maine activity with its reference to the legendary Maine guides and its emphasis on the state's magnificent forests, lakes, rivers, and mountains. The program progression is divided into age-appropriate levels of skills that will enrich a camper's summer program. To summarize, the Junior Maine Guide program instills the traditional skills and maintains those hard skills of the ways of the Maine Guide that so easily could be lost.
Next, we're going to talk a little bit about the history of the program.
I think what makes our program very unique is its age and how it was created by an act of the Maine State Legislature in 1937. The Maine youth camps went to the legislature and say, you know, we have this outdoor program that we want to help promote, and the legislature gave it the okay. And we work very closely with the Department of Inland Fisheries and Wildlife as we have developed this program throughout the years. Any boy or girl attending a Maine camp is eligible for the program. Occasionally, we have had some individuals that also come from other sponsoring groups that have not been a Maine camp, but that has not happened in recent years. Our testing, initial testing camp locations were in southern Maine, right on Moose Pond there in Bridgeton, and sometime in the 1950s, we moved to the Moose-Lake-Maguntic area. It's an area that we enjoyed a great deal, and we had a lot of access to some land there, and we'd use the site for a couple of years, and then we would move up a dirt road and where the next small brook was, where we were able to get our drinking water directly out of the brook, and we'd use that for a couple of years, and we would keep working our way down that road. And then finally in 1963, we reached the end of the road, but we found a terrific site for us, and we used that for about 20 years. And civilization caught up with us, and there were also issues with the Maine spruce budworm, and people were worried about the dying trees and maybe some forest fires issues. So fortunately, Fish and Wildlife offered us Swan Island to use as a site, and that was terrific for us. And again, we had a 25-year run out there, and then we started to get some health issues out on Swan Island and concerning some of the ticks there and things. So we then, just a few years ago, the Stephen Phillips Preserve offered us some property right outside of Aquasic near Rangeley, and we're using this wonderful site called the Boy Scout site on the Kennebago River, and it's worked out very well for us.
And so as you can see, we've had over 2,500 candidates have successfully passed the JMG testing program, as well as many more who participated. And just a brief aside that we'll get to later, even if a candidate doesn't pass, which the vast majority can pass after their second year, and sometimes it's difficult, it's about a 50 or 60% passing rate for the first year, the campers are going to get a lot of great, valuable experience out of just participating in this program. So while passing is certainly a great goal, it's only part of what we're trying to offer.
In recent years, we've had between 65 and 70 candidates. It's the Junior Maine Guide testing camp, which is always held the last full week in July. It's a co-ed group, and as Chris said, our average passing rate is around 55%. It's a challenge for a 14-year-old to make it through the program, and just the 2 years of maturity and stuff, if we get a 16-year-old up there, it's a lot easier for them to pass it in 1 year than the youngsters. And very often, if a 14-year-old or even 15-year-old doesn't pass the program, they do come back for a second year, and the passing rate there is much higher for our second-year candidates. And once they're through, the candidate said, you know, I'm glad I came back for a second year, just because I've gained so much more confidence in myself, and I've gained a lot more confidence in my outdoor skills and everything. We're very fortunate to have a dedicated testing staff. We probably have 10 to 12 testers that come up there, and they all have just a long time outdoor Maine woods tradition. Most of them have gone through the Junior Maine Guide program themselves, or they're Maine guides, and they just enjoy working with this age group so much and sharing their outdoor skills with this group.
So the different programs begin with Junior Maine Woodsman, and really the goals here are introducing the young boys and girls to the skill sets and getting them excited about pursuing the woodscraft to hopefully become a Junior Maine Guide. Really can't stress enough, the age, 9 to 12, getting them fired up, getting them comfortable in the outdoors, maybe excited about challenging themselves, making a meal outdoors and whatnot, but practicing all of the basic lessons. With Maine Woodsman, that shows up at a lot of different camps in different ways, but now we're taking those skills and we're enforcing them. We're maybe adding a trip, spending some more time on the trail or on the water, and practicing those skills, doing some trip planning, maybe a little bit more time in the camp kitchen, getting ready for their Junior Maine Guide experience. As Moose stated earlier, we see kids as young as 14 coming in to testing encampment, and some of those 14-year-olds are very, very prepared and show great maturity and are ready to take on the challenge. Some of them need a year or two to really work on their skills and round themselves out. Each kid is an individual. They're going to bring to encampment their own skill set. But what we try to do is have a level playing field for each candidate to come and show their skills, and hopefully that they show up prepared. And if they don't succeed the first year, it's not a pass or fail. If you didn't pass the first year, you come back and you try again the next year.
The Junior Maine Woodsman program can be used as stepping stones for the Junior Maine Guide. All three programs, if you notice there, then have 21 different tests or evaluations, skills that they learn and that they're evaluated in. We'll show a list of those in just a few minutes. And it's a good progression of skills, working your way up to what's required to pass the Junior Main Guide program.
I will say let's take a test like tree identification. At the JMG level, we're going to have probably 20, 25 specimens that the candidates will have to identify. And we're looking for specifics for the species. When we're teaching that to a Junior Main Woodscraft camper, we're looking for, not so much red maple or sugar maple, but we're looking for, maple, a little bit more general. And we're looking for about, out of 20 trees, if they can get, 7 or 8 of them accurately. So each camp's going to have a different approach, but that's why you'll see there, 1/3 JMG or 2/3 JMG. It's setting them up for success.
Also, some of the different parts of the program, meaning the axe and saw and knife usage, it's up to the camps whether they want to use that in the lower levels and how much the kids' maturity level can handle an axe or a saw. But they would be required for the Junior Main Guide program. But again, the lower levels are administered and taught by the camps. There's not a testing camp for those lower levels, but it's something that the camps can do themselves. We highly encourage that you actually do have an overnight experience, or at least 1 or 2 overnight for the kids to do their testing. But that's all left up to the individual camps to administer those programs.
Just the benefits of the Junior Main Guide program, it is just such a worthwhile growing experience that it gets. We have heard candidates use the term life-changing moment. It's a unique challenge that they've gone through, especially for our 14 through 16-year-olds, that they're being challenged. They are doing some things that they have not done in the past. They're making some individual decisions on their own, and all of a sudden they're saying, I feel better about myself. It's given me a great deal of confidence. Over the years, it's amazing how many Junior Main Guides that I have met that have used their Junior Main Guide experience as the basis for one of their college essays when they're applying to the colleges.
We also see, kids that have gone through the program, looking back, they'll often stay in touch looking for letters of reference and whatnot to apply to jobs. We see, folks, young adults going into forestry, into guiding, into the wooden service, drawing from all these skills that they've gained, and certainly the level of self-confidence.
And I think that the bottom line here that you're looking at is this idea of developing leadership skills is such a key part of the program here, because the candidates have to make decisions on their own. They don't have a counselor around telling them, okay, you need to do this now, this is how you do this. They've already had their training. They've gone through all those learning experiences, and now this is a good practical application of using what you hope they have learned.
So as we mentioned before, the JMW and MW programs are administered by the individual camps. Main summer camp office can provide you with a curriculum. We've revamped it and updated it this year in 2016. And we certainly encourage you to use some type of testing camp on your own property, which could simply even be setting up a tent near one of the cabins they may be sleeping in, or if you have the ability to take them out on a trip, that's great too. If your facility doesn't allow that, or you still can certainly have them prove all of their skills through a testing camp that's done without a trip. But ideally, you want to try to have that camping experience for them. And to cover those 21 different areas of skills, we really do encourage a 2 to 3 week program. If you were doing 1 period per day, if you wanted to have a special dedicated program where the kids spent 1 week doing all of the programs for JMW, and that's what they focused on, that could certainly work as well too. And then once they've successfully completed their programs, you can get patches, and you can make your own certificates as well too, to have them presented to the kids so they have something to bring home with.
And let me emphasize with these introductory programs, that they can be designed to fit into your camp philosophy. What we have in the curriculum is a suggestion of skills they should have, but you need to work out with what's best for your group, and you can evaluate the candidates what's best on your group. As Chris said, if you want to run a testing camp, you can, or maybe just even take the candidates out on a trip and see how they do on the trip, and at the end of the trip saying, yep, you have that skill level that is needed to become a junior Maine woodsman or a Maine woodsman.
So the testing modules, there's 21 different testing modules or skills, and they're broken into majors and minors. So the way that the kids at encampment prove their skills is through written and practical testing. So for instance, for majors, axemanship, canoeing, shelter and fireplace, map of the area, those are all practical skills where kids will move about the encampment to different areas and they'll show their skills. Some of them are scheduled, some of them are on their own time. And there's certainly written in the major categories. There's trip equipment, first aid, and map of Maine. In the minors, many of these are written. They're short written tests that are evaluations based on 25 questions. The main issue is such that what we're looking for is the candidate to show up with something that impacts them either in their personally or their community if they're from Maine, but something that's affecting Maine that they can look at objectively, maybe identify a problem or a concern and have supporting evidence of possible ways to fix that or correct the issue and whatnot. We're looking for at least a one-page, well thought out essay. Wet Day Fire combines their axemanship and fire building skills in a timed task. They've got 20 minutes to break down a billet of wood and create a fire to boil water within 20 minutes. And then you can see the other minors, trees, hiking and backpacking and whatnot. These are all written, again, 25 questions, and they need a 20 to pass most of these tests.
Our standards are high, and fortunately, we've kept them high through all the years. And most of these tests that we have right here, an 80% level is our passing grade. So when someone meets the junior Maine guide requirements, they have something to be proud of because, again, their skill level has been pretty high. As you can see on the next page here, and I think that next to the bottom line is important, is when we are evaluating the practical skills of our candidates, we as testers keep asking ourselves, do we want the candidate to pass on these skills to somebody else? And if we think the skills aren't the level that should be passed on, maybe they're unsafe, maybe they don't show a great deal of confidence, we give the candidate what's known as a retest. We're saying, you don't quite have that skill level that we're looking for. You don't have to pass every test in order to become a junior Maine guide. Most of our candidates probably will fail, retest, one major, and then 3 minors. So you're given some leeway. We always check at the end of our session. We go through the grades we have with everybody, and if a candidate is close, we will look at all the score sheets we made and saying, okay, do we think that this candidate has the skills and maybe we can reconsider a test that we were too difficult or challenging on? So the candidates are tested during their actual testing time, and then when we get their whole body of work, we just evaluate how they've done, where they fit in with things.
Yeah, here's an example of a typical day at encampment. They're full days, and one of the things that we hear throughout the experience is that time management is key. Again, it comes down to the responsibility of the camper being prepared, setting goals for themselves, daily goals of which tests they wanted to take care of, on day 1, day 2, day 3. And they're also making meals. So their cooking evaluation is based on preparing meals. They've got to satisfactorily do a bake, a boil, and a fry, but they're also feeding testers for the entire week. So if they get all their required meals in, by the middle of the second day, they still have to keep performing throughout the week because basically they're in the seat of being a registered Maine guide, preparing food for their clients. That's the mindset we want them to be thinking about. So nutrition, preparation, and just the atmosphere at camp all weigh into that. But again, you see it's a fairly busy schedule. Each day we end with a campfire where we collectively get all the groups together. We often have guest speakers talking about their experiences in the field, and then get the kids off to their campsites to either study or lights out, get ready for the next day.
We haven't said anything about the counselor's role up at Junior Maine Guide Camp, and the counselors pitch their tents nearby, their encampments, but the campers really are on their own to make decisions. And if there are any issues, the counselors are there to help. I tell the counselors early on that probably your main role is to check on the mental health of all your campers. You know them better than we do, and just see how they're doing. If they need a pat on the back, make sure you're encouraging and giving to them. And also, we depend upon the counselors a great deal to help the candidates budget their time correctly. Each year when we finish up our testing on Thursday, we have a couple of candidates that have not pushed themselves as hard as they should have during the week, or and they're going to have some last minute tests that they need to finish up. So the counselors just help them a great deal in budgeting their time, finish all these up.
So we've got some resources that we're going to be able to share with any camp that's interested in the program. The first thing is we've got a new website that was built this past year specifically for Junior Maine Guide. It's part of the Maine Summer Camp organization, but it's a separate website. We also have a Facebook group, both a public one for promotion and interest of the Junior Maine Guide, and then there also is a private group that you can sign up through the Maine Summer Camp office, where you can share program ideas, and we encourage your staff to participate in those groups as well too, because they can use other camp staff as a resource. The JMG committee has worked hard over the past at least a year, maybe longer, updating the curriculum for all the levels of Junior Maine Guide, Junior Maine Woodsman, and Maine Woodsman. And we're going to get to that in just a moment here. We also encourage you to rely on the Junior Maine Guide program staff and committee. And there's going to be a list of those people that are on the website. And you can also contact Ron Hall through the Maine Summer Camp office. We have people who would volunteer to come out and at a mutually agreed time to meet with your staff if you are interested in learning more about the programs. If you already have a program and you'd like to receive some additional training or have some of your staff meet the testers, they'd be, again, working on schedules, but we'd be glad to come out and help you. We really want to make sure that the camps are as prepared as they can be before coming out to the Junior Maine Guide test camp, or as they're administering the Maine Woodsman and Junior Maine Woodsman levels in their individual camps.
We do have on our website a section called Teaching Tips that hopefully we're changing about once a month, but it gives some suggestions that we have testers have to say, okay, if I were to teach this to a bunch of youngsters, this is how I would go about doing it. And another section that's very interesting, and we've gotten a lot of contributions for, are menus that can be used on the out of doors.
So as we alluded to earlier, the curriculum has been updated. What once was affectionately known as the Red Book has been recreated with many edits. And this will be available to all the camps in the near future, I believe in the next couple of months. We're really excited about this. It's a huge leap forward, and it's going to be a great resource for instructors and for Junior Maine guides to be working out of. It's going to build consistency among all the camps and information, and we'll also include some of those resources that we just talked about, where to find other information and whatnot.
So we'll have links. This PowerPoint will be available through the main summer camp office and also through the Junior Main Guide website, so you can download it and get these links. And we've got, as I mentioned before, the Facebook groups. And we wanted to open it up if anybody had any questions for us about the program. And maybe I'll start off with one question that we often get, which is, if a camper successfully passes the JMG program, can they now go out and be a main guide? And I will let our master main guide, Ron, here answer that question.
Yeah, it actually is a very common question, and the correct answer is actually no. To do any official guiding in the state of Maine, you need you need to have a registered Maine guide's license in one of the areas of recreation, hunting, or fishing, and you need to be at least 18 years old. But what it does do is it is a stepping stone if you go in that direction. And I can say firsthand, going after getting your guide's license, it is very difficult, it's very challenging, and it's always changing. But at the end of the day, it's a written test where you have to prove your knowledge, but you need to prove it through an oral board and a written test. The Junior Main Guide program, you've got to show these skills firsthand, and it does put these campers in a unique situation because they're showing their skills accurately and portraying, paddling a canoe or, axing ship or building a fire and whatnot. But we certainly encourage anybody that successfully passes Junior Main Guide, if it wants to go down that road, to pursue becoming a registered Main Guide, and they will feel more prepared for that endeavor.
And actually, the way the law was written in 1937, it states that a junior Main Guide cannot take the place of a main guide as well. So another question often that we get, or maybe a comment, is that the higher ups in the Department of Inland Fisheries and Wildlife and members of the Main Guide Committee like how we evaluate our candidates at Junior Main Guide. We have more time with them. We can check, we can emphasize their practical skills. We go out and we test their cooking. We look at how they do in a canoe. Besides sitting them down in the classroom, okay, what do you know about a map and compass? The candidates have to build a map for us. So there's a lot of hands-on evaluation that becoming a main guide does not have.
I do want to say too that just because a junior main guide can't effectively guide, there's a lot of doors being opened. So personally, as a registered main guide, I've had volunteer junior main guides coming from Bryant Pond that have helped me at camp with camp tours, and as we're getting ready for our hunting seasons, learning the ropes a little bit to see what it takes to become a main guide, and kind of mentoring them after the program. We also see them coming back to some of the camps as CITs or counselors, and many of those folks will come back the following year and be put on staff as a paid counselor or a field teacher. They certainly know the hard skills. We round them out with staff training and working on the soft skills, and it prepares them for success. So we certainly encourage folks out there in the camping world and in the guiding world to look at the Junior Main Guide program and the value, and to help provide more opportunities, because it isn't just getting the patch and then you're done. It's just the next step.
Another question that we get is from camp directors on how to get their staff trained to be instructors for these programs. While currently there is not a specific training like the American Red Cross or American Canoe Association, it is something that the Maine Summer Camp program is looking into having some type of formal training. If you are interested in that, please let the Maine Summer Camp office and Ron Hall know that you're looking to do that. One of the challenges that we have with that concept is when to fit it into your pre-camp schedule before your campers arrive. So by providing that information to Ron about that you are interested in what dates your staff would typically be available in June would be a very good thing to have. In the meantime, what you're going to be looking for is you're going to be looking for people who have excuse me, previous outdoor skills, instructing at other camps, and as Ron had mentioned, your Junior Main Guide candidates several years afterwards would be ideal instructors, and that's what a lot of camps will do. is they'll take their campers who have grown up through camp, stayed on through the leadership training program, come back as counselors. They make excellent instructors because they know what it's like to be at the testing camp as a candidate. So it gives them a unique ability to mentor and empathize with their campers.
Yeah, and as Moose alluded to earlier, we're looking for candidates that, the question comes down to, would we want them to pass these skills on? And there's always, every year, from many, many camps, some of those standout junior Maine guides that would be a great educator to get back to the program, and they will truly make a great, instructor for your next group. We'd like to see them kind of stay in the program and whatnot. There's other resources as well for camps just starting the program or getting their feet wet. As we said earlier, we're willing and able to visit camps, share ideas. There's a lot of transparency within this program to help prepare camps and instructors as well as junior Maine guides to be successful.
And another question I get at times is, what are we looking for from a skill set? And we aren't looking for one set way to do something. We're seeing if what the candidate does is practical, efficient, and safe. We are not saying this is the only way to paddle a canoe. Show us what you can, and we have been around a lot, and we just see a lot of different skills, et cetera, there too. So efficiency, competence are things that we are looking for in the skill levels.
One of the things that we are going to be adding to the JMG program in 2016 is going to be a field day, which is going to be the first Saturday in July. And we're going to invite all the camps to send their staff as well as their candidates to Bryan Pond is going to host it for it this year. And it's a chance to meet the JMG staff and testers. There'll be some instruction and but more familiarization with what the actual expectations will be when at testing camp. And we hope that this will also help your staff become better instructors and also be able to meet and create that network of support. And this year, it's the first time we're doing it is this year in 2016 as a day. And there's certainly the potential in the future to turn this into an overnight experience as well too, so that there can be a practice test camp before they have to go up to their actual full testing camp.
Do we have any questions from any of our listeners?
Sorry, I just have one question because you've answered every question I wrote down. When will the new 2016 curriculum be out for us to start looking at?
Ooh, that's a good question. I'm not sure there's an answer. The writing's been done, and okay, it is now being edited. And I sense that editing process is taking longer than we thought that it would. Because I know Ron Hall is hoping that we're going to get it at any time. I've seen maybe about half of the Junior Maine Guide program written up, okay, and not the others. So we keep saying it's going to be done this month, and let's hope that's going to be it.
Okay. Will there be an announcement out when they are finished for us?
You're going to hear from Ron Hall at some point. I think one of the things he wants to do is see how many camps are interested in getting a copy of it and how many copies that you would like to get. So the Maine summer camps is sending out at least 2 copies to any camp that's involved in Junior Maine Woodsman, or the Junior Maine Guide program.
Oh, perfect.
It'll also be posted on the Facebook page and the website as well.
Okay, good. And that was all my questions.
Great, thank you. Thank you very much for your participation today. And again, as we said, please get in touch with Ron Hall at the Maine Summer Camp office with any questions that you have, and he'll be able to either answer them or get you in touch with someone on the JMG program staff who would be able to assist you with that. And we thank you very much for your time today.
Okay. Thank you.